Hello, good morning. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Obalde. We are back again on another edition. Thank you very much for always following this program wherever you are. As you know, this is the program that will help you conquer your day. And we review our newspapers here. And of course, give you an insight of what is happening, current affairs. And I'm with Julde Njai. Good morning, Julde. Gisuma suma taku dina bi so du ma ne Njaay Sabali so I'm still gonna wait.
Yow suma brother nga ding ko gis.
Waaw I'm still gonna wait.
Suñ ko gisu te yow ding ko.
Suma ko gisee ba pare may bugg dina Njaay Sabali.
Waaw ding ko gis inshallah. Yow yaay suma brother yow dara mu la naxari yow.
All right.
Good morning to you. Good morning to Mr. Ka and to our viewers. Jitu na la si nuyu Mr. Ka bi nak.
I know. It's all right. Mr. Malika is our newspaper review guest today. How are you, Mr. Ka?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure, as always, to come and share with you whatever little ideas I have. Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, so we are back. As you know, this morning, this is where we discuss a lot of things and, bring people who will help analyze and also interpret certain things. So we will be taking a look at the African proverb, from the proverb, then the newspaper review, then the Majak fact-checking training initiative. Mustafa Sise from Majak will be here and he'll be taking us through that. And of course, we'll also be looking at World Veterinary Day. Wow, veterinary. That's veterinary. It's not a new name. So we will be talking to Dr. Keba Dafe, lecturer Gambia College, and Musa Jallo, Horse and Donkey Trust. They'll be here and they'll give us an insight of World Veterinary Day. So we will take a look at the African code. It's a Hausa proverb today, Julde.
Yes, like you said, our African proverb is a Hausa one this morning, and it reads, "He who does not get lost by night will get lost by day." No, he who does not get lost by night will not get lost by day.
Madam, sorry, Rusigudi, Dori Sibechek. Wow, Lola, Bowo dugana edu mungere rek.
It's just a case of developing the clarity, vision, and wisdom to have the capacity to interpret and understand issues. So in effect, it's saying that through hardship, confusion, you can make the distinction between all these things. So you will have a good clarity of where you are. Always a vantage position to understand.
Right.
That's true. It's telling you when you go through, the hardest things possible. There is a time the little issues won't be a problem for you. So you have to go through the hard way, to know what is ease.
To learn, yeah.
You understand? So when things are easy for you, then you will tend to realize, okay, this is what I have gone through to get to this stage. So always the little things would be very easier for you.
Absolutely. I think I agree with both of you. For me, I will take it in the point of resilience. If you are a resilient person in difficult moment, you're able to conquer, the difficult times, when there are storms everywhere. When the easy one comes, it's very, very easy. For instance, people will tell you that learn the hard way, but, the Gen Z generation will not understand. But people will tell you that it's good to learn the hard way. For instance, now we know that most of these cars are automatic, but then they would people advise you to learn the hard way. That is the manual way. Whenever you learn through the manual, you will be able to drive any car that comes your way. It goes to show that when you start with the hard things, you learn to be resilient. I think resilience is not all about climate change and all of that, but as individuals too, it's important for us to be resilient when we are confronted with situations, especially when they are very, very hard situations. It helps us to conquer anything that comes our way. So I think it's this proverb is that.
You develop a character of fortitude.
Exactly.
Once you experience something, then when you meet it again, you would be able to understand what mitigating factors that you will do in order to ensure that you got it right.
Exactly. So at this point, we'll take a short break, and after the break, then we will delve into some of the stories making headlines. We'll be back.
Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Go, ebe dawa full network suda tili QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata QCell. Most reliable network dumala geta wati QCell. Wo quality man nyon soda jam ona manke QCell. Hanibe wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network o se taria QCell suñu boss. Ño fi njeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele QCell. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Itella multi milka kukutol nati Gambia QCell meta lori la kilianol yele imanyina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. Connection be bambandi QCell sunyu boss. QCell most innovative QCell sunyu boss.
Thank you very much. We are back again. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. I'm with Julden Jai, and we are going to take you through the
newspaper
throughout this session, and we'll start with the newspaper review. Gambia Immigration explains ID card issuance to Gambians in Mauritania. But first, I mean, yesterday I saw an interview with the Honorable Minister for Information that from the 1st of May, they will increase the tariff on passports. I mean, from 3,060 now to 5,100. I mean, you know, it will be important for us to know the reason why, for the increment, Mr. Carr.
I don't know. I think the minister will be in a better position to explain. You know, of course, you know that we are a tax-based economy, and we're trying to reach certain, you know, collection revenue, or also maybe new contracts they have, or changes in terms of production. I wouldn't know, but a host of issues can be able to be tabled to justify. But the minister is coming, so you can pose him the questions to deal with that.
So the issuance of ID cards to Gambians in Mauritania. Here the Immigration Director General is giving an explanation as to why. Accessing certain documents from far can be very difficult for Gambians. I mean, it's important for us to see how to make sure it's really friendly for these people to be able to access documents, because there are certain documents that, you know, if you are not in the Gambia, you cannot get them. You can renew them.
That's why it's strange. Passports, we would have already acquired it, going through the process, and the process would determine what documents you will bring, birth certificate, ID cards, and others. Those are locally normally provided. So why they're doing that, that is the whole controversy which this government, the spokesperson is coming, should be in the position also to give clarity, because a lot of people are asking questions as to why the ID. One can understand renewal or issuance of an emergency passport if you are abroad, or renewal of your passport, but ordinary documents such as ID card should be locally normally. That's the...
Absolutely. I totally agree with Mr. Ka. I mean, some of these things, the reason why I want to believe that people are concerned is the fact that we know that over the years, there has been a lot of allegations that, you know, other foreign nationals are having our national documents. But now that if they are issuing ID cards in a foreign land, that becomes a very big problem, especially for a lot of people who are still with the belief that foreign nationals are having our national documents. So I think, yeah, you know, as technology evolves, the world is evolving. Now the world is a global village. And I think some of these things, especially when it comes to national documents, it should be readily accessible to the citizens of the Gambia wherever they are. But again, people should be cognizant of the fact that there are security reasons. You know, we know that terrorists are everywhere, cybersecurity issues are everywhere. So that is why there are concerns with that regard. But I want to believe that the officials will really take these measures into account and then.
But they should be, I presume, they should be all biometric. And
yes.
you cannot have a biometric issued outside of the jurisdiction. So you have to be here in order to have that, because biometric implies you have to have your iris, you have to have your fingerprints, you know, so that will identify you. Because that is so unique, you know, as an individual, that you cannot forge it afterwards. Or if they give you an ID card before even you have a biometric test, then you can use that through the back door to acquire other documents. And I think those are the primary concerns that must be addressed.
Well, I mean, it's important for the security to be tightened, to make sure there are no irregularities and there are no people doing certain things to acquire these documents. I mean, but when you look at other countries, I mean, let's take Ghana, for example. Now, Ghanaian citizens can access their passports wherever they are, you know. It will come and be handed over to them. So, for the likes of ID cards, I think the same system can also be introduced to those countries, whereby, you know, these people can have those things accessed. It's just synchronizing the database to make sure it happens.
But the integrity of the document must be protected, and that is the primary
absolutely.
Well, the minister will be here soon, so
he will clarify on that. So the Bar Association president says rejection of diaspora voting unforgivable.
Yeah, especially that the fact that you are arguing that they can issue ID cards, you know, that easily outside the jurisdiction of Gambia. So with extra little effort, I think the diaspora could have easily been granted the opportunity to acquire voters' cards.
True.
So the argument there now is redundant as to the logistics and other aspects, because there is a proven case now that it could be done.
Right.
Absolutely. You have any other thing, Julia?
It's this World Labor Day. It's tomorrow. Civil servants say Labor Day means nothing without better pay, from the Foroya newspaper.
Yeah, but I think the pay, in fairness to the government, had been adjusted very recently. 30%. I know the threshold was very low from where they're coming, but gradually it has improved and increased under this government. I think what they ought to look for and really fight for is a minimum wage. And minimum wage is normally pegged against inflation, which means the cost of rice, other commodities. At least there are certain basic minimum things that you should be able to acquire within your wages or your salary. So that is where they ought to look at, rather than the increment annually. But the minimum wage is something that they can argue for as unions that represent the people. But you hardly ever hear the voices of the union. They are completely absent in the terrain of civil society.
Sometimes you wonder whether they are even existing in this country.
Invite them to come.
You know,
I think.
You know. So, Julda, I think it's important for us to engage the labor union as well, so that we can know what their mandate
and
is.
How many unions are there, how much organized they are, and all this. They need to have an umbrella organization so that when they speak, they can speak with one voice and go in one direction. Otherwise, you know, you have different unions, everybody minding their own corner and interest. They cannot have any impact in terms of negotiations.
True. I mean, one step that you can use to actually fight your rights is to be able to know your rights first. But most of the workers don't know what their rights are, their responsibilities. And a lot of people are working without contracts. And that is one of the document or guiding tool that you can use to defend yourself wherever you are. But if you're working for so many years and you don't have contract, I mean, if your rights are violated as a worker, I mean, where are you going to take that
but
matter?
legally, if you work for a certain period of time, contract is not just a written document. That is why a lot of people don't understand the legal aspect of what a contract is. A contract just requires certain basic elements. And if those elements are present, whether it's verbal or written, is the same in law. So if I am doing something for you over a period of time, by virtue of implication, there is a contract, and it's as binding, as good as any written document. So that does not necessarily excuse. Yes, it's good to have certain things in writing spelled out, but the law would have already detailed your rights and all the regulations that govern. You have to have certain basic things, element when they are present in your transaction with any individual, whether it's written or verbal, it's contractual and is binding.
Well, I think written is better than verbal. Sometimes people don't honor verbal much because there is nothing written.
But the law is the testing ground. That's what I'm saying. In contract, there is offer, acceptance, and consideration. These are three elements that have to be present in any transaction. It doesn't matter. And there is a contract in law.
Okay.
So even if it is written, it has to be tested in the courts. If it is verbal, it have to be tested in the courts. So they are equally as good. Yes, that one may be looking better because you have something to hold on. But if I give you offer, acceptance, and consideration, and not even written in law that is binding, it's as good as if it is written. So you can take that to the...
It's law binding. Yes. All right. So NEA seeks to replace Gambia's outdated anti-littering regulations.
Yeah, we've been going through the motions of that all the time. I think Gambians should definitely assume or assert their responsibility in terms of keeping their environment clean. We always say that you walk around, you see some of these, you know, holes with a lot of litter, and it is the people that throw it there. It doesn't just go there by itself. They don't have legs, but people throw and chuck away everything. It's the mindset and education, and that has to be constant and continuous. But it's very absent in the public space. I see the people, the environmentalists on the beach, they are doing a great job. If you go to our beaches, I've been to Senegal, certain parts of Senegal, Mour in particular, the beach, I compared, yes, our beaches are really clean in relative terms. I said we should maintain that and keep it up. When you go to the beach, have a small bag where you put all the stuff that you take to the beach, go home and throw it in the streets. If we have that, then we'll start seeing improvement.
And we should introduce more segregation bins as well, waste segregation bins.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that. I think there should come a time when we'll compartmentalize as to what to throw. But for now, let's even have the start of making sure that the most basic of things are being addressed. We keep the environment, immediate environment clean. If your household area outside your compound, the shopkeeper, all these people, they have, but people really are not very hygienic in most instances. Sorry to say, but that's the fact.
You know, when we were little boys, I mean, I don't know if they are still existing. We used to have these Butterfeld people, those that go around and monitor how compounds, I mean, make sure they keep their environment clean. You know, we used to have them.
Public health officers.
I don't know if they're still here.
They used, I remember that, you are right. They would go, they would check the waters, they would check
the sockaway. Some people will put a hold on.
That is very, very good an institution that should be revitalized and make active so that they can at least impact. Because cleanliness is wealthiness and you're healthy. Yes,
absolutely. I think it's all about, it boils down to attitude, because when it comes to the regulatory frameworks, we already have them in place here.
Absolutely.
I mean, even this current act that is in place, we have not been utilized as a country. So let us look at that. I don't think it's the issue of regulation. Regulatory frameworks are there, but are we implementing those regulatory frameworks? I think they should look at these things holistically. While they are reviewing the regulation, they should also look at other problems systems as well in society to be able to, because it should be hand in hand. If the regulation is there and people do not want to comply with the regulations, they don't want to change their attitudes, I mean, it's like you're wasting time and resources.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's down to education.
Absolutely.
Education, change of mindset, and implementation of policies and programs. These are very fundamental, in the absence of which then we will continue having this conversation.
Right.
That ought to be looked into. You are right, the legal framework does exist, but you don't just have legal framework on its own, you know, implementing itself. So there are people that should be proactive. There should be institutions of education also that will enlighten and educate the people about the benefits of these things. Also enforcement. So you have the carrot and the stick. There have to be negative sanctions and positive sanctions, and then you will see a difference. I think that's the right attitude.
So the Justice Minister is saying, I mean, justice delayed. The Gambia's victim demand broader accountability.
Yeah, that's a maxim that's known in law, that justice delayed is justice denied, because you cannot wait for perpetuity if you are being honored. So there has to be some sanctions. That's why the legal processes have to be also speeded, you know, because people are waiting, you know, forever in order to see that justice. Sometimes to have a closure, you must have to have justice concluded. So, yeah.
Exactly. So, Mr. Malik, thank you very much for reviewing the stories with us. And thanks for your time. You can go enjoy your coffee now. Later, we will be talking to Mustafa Sise from Majak on the Majak Fact-Checking Training Initiative. So we will be right back after the break.
Taking a break isn't about stopping. It's about recharging for the next stage. Welcome to our oasis.
Powered by Africa. Oris Energies.
Humani Delsina ak seen mobile app bu bees bii óor na gaaw na te it mun nga koo jëfandikoo pour def ci loo bëgga foo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun ngaa jot sa xaalis ak Humani mobile app bu bees bii mun ngaa dugal xaalis génnee xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si Q Power jënd loo bëgga ak yu bëri mun nga ci yónnee Humani fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca Play Store bu dul loolu App Store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Q-Money customer care si 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa
Oryx Service. Top teamwork for top performance.
Powered by Africa. Oris Energies.
Wow, Sadio, ça va? Ça va bien.
Oryx, with you all the way.
Powered by Africa. Oris Energies.
We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde, and on this platform I am with Julden Jai. Now let's move to the third segment of this program. That's Majak Fact-Checking Initiative. And we have Mustafa Sise, a coordinator for the initiative, and of course also from Majak as well. Mr. Sise, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. Good morning to you too, and thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure being here.
It's good to have you here.
Yes.
And we apologize. You were supposed to come yesterday, but due to one or two reasons, we have to shift it for today.
Yeah, I understand it's part of the game as a media practitioner. You know, sometimes you put in line certain stuff and some urgent stuff come on, so you have to shelve them based on prominence.
Exactly.
That I understand.
So let's talk about what are the main goals of this initiative.
Yes, so thank you very much. First of all, we have to commend our sponsors, which is UNICEF. This is we call it empowering journalists and community media personnel in the Gambia and Guinea-Bissau. So it is a 9-month project which commenced in March and is scheduled to end in November. This year it targets 30 journalists in the Gambia and in Guinea-Bissau. So the project is supported by UNESCO, that's the UN agency UNESCO, through the United Nations Peace Building Fund under the Infrastructure for Peace Building project. So and that's it. It's just a little over $2 million. Yeah, and it has 3 components. So the first component is that is the fact-check training, the advanced fact-check training, which is currently going on at a local hotel. Currently, it commenced on the 28th, which is on Monday. It is ending today. We have our local and international journalists, and of course, an international trainer for that matter. It has both the mainstream and the community media from the Gambia and from the sister Republic of Guinea-Bissau. So that's the first component. The second component is we have called strengthening the relationship between MAJAC, Fact Check Gambia, and then community media. So if you look at Fact Check Gambia, it's now an entity of its own. It is a registered entity of its own, though it's a brainchild of MAJAC, like MAJAC is to the Gambia Press Union. So it's a brainchild of MAJAC, we can call it that way. It's an entity of its own. It has been registered. It has its own board. So we're working with them. So this component, the second component of this project, is expected to strengthen the relationship between MAJAC, the Fact Check Gambia, which is an organ of its own, and also the community media. So it has to involve us going around to the community media outlets in the country and strengthen the bond between us. And the final component of it is the Fact Check grant, which will be open right after this training. So calls will be made for journalists interested in fact checking to pitch claims and do fact check and get paid for it. Yes,
including those that did not participate in the training.
Anybody you call upon to Mr. Balde, and anyone can do. Even those behind the camera have seen a claim that they believe they can prove wrong.
So what are some of the misinformation that you are focusing on?
Disinformation too.
Okay, I think I take it this way. Let's take it this way, the criteria. Maybe that will help us to pinpoint what it's here. Yeah. So necessarily we have a few of the criteria. One of it before a claim is qualified to be fact-checked. It has to be one of these or 4 of them. One, it has to be viral, something that's is it viral? Yeah, has it gone viral? If most of us who has less than 5,000 friends on Facebook shared something about just something, and no one reacted to it, no one shared it. After 24 hours, that's not viral. You may not need to fact check that. That's one component. The other criteria is it of public interest? Yes. Yes, I've posted, no one reacted to it, but is it of public interest? So the other one, the third one, is it you have what we call significance? Is it significant? Is it if it is of significance, or it is significant to the subject or to the status quo? That can also be considered. And the final one, we look at the implication or the influence. Who is doing this and what is likely? Like I remember when the Deputy Permanent Secretary came to the launch, in her launch statement on behalf of the Minister, considered disinformation and misinformation as these are very threats to the peace. So in that component, you can look at the influence of it, this post. You can look at the significance of it. You can look at the public interest component of it. You can also look at the virality of it. Is it gone viral or not? But however, there are a few exemptions here when it comes to fact check. Julia and I have known each other for quite a long time. So if we should joke in public, say he's a bad brother. So that's just a joke. So jokes are exempted and satire. That's you can take.
Okay.
So and then the list goes on. Yes. And of course predictions you can, but when they have no, say I predict to say on 2026 I will do this. It's not yet 2026, so you cannot fact check that for that moment. You have to wait until the due time for the promise come in. It's not delivered, then we can do a promise meter and also fact checking that he promised to do and he failed to, therefore his promise is false.
Absolutely.
You also have other exemptions, like you have I have talked about prediction.
Yes.
And I've talked about jokes.
Jokes.
Yes. So and opinions as well. So I think the benachin is not nice. I eat. I think the benachin is not nice.
That's your opinion.
That's not fact checkable. So we do not have a set criteria or set ingredients nationally agreed or standard that benachin has to taste this way or that way in order. I said that for the Kamarakunda guys to align with what I'm saying.
So how are the participants expected to use the knowledge gain to actually apply them in their everyday life? Because over the years we've been having a lot of trainings, workshops, seminars for journalists, but if you look at the impact, is minimal. So when it comes to your evaluation of this project, how are you going to ensure that what is learned is being applied in everyday life of journalists?
It's a very interesting question and brilliant. You've always been brilliant. Since I know you, keep it up. So how are we going to ensure that? And that is where the fact check grant comes into play. Okay. Yes, here we have trained you and we have a motivation that if you do a claim or you fact check a claim and you get this amount. So that is a way of encouraging them. And the other thing, how are they expected to apply this knowledge? Fine, that's also an interesting one. For instance, you want to fact check a picture. So they have been taught skills and there are tools that they use. Those are the tools that they will use to fact check. You want to fact check a video, there are tools. You want to fact check an audio, which is a bit tricky, but there are strategies that you can also use to ascertain. So these are a few ways that they can apply the knowledge, and another way to encourage them is through the fact check grant. Yes. Yes.
So this is an initiative that is going to elapse. It has a time frame, but what are some of the things or initiatives that you're coming up with to ensure that this is sustainable, it continues? Maybe you can say that we are including it in our Maja curriculum, for instance, for interested individuals to learn how to do fact checking.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad that you really understand this because we've been to the same school of thought. So in Majak, one of the reasons I tell is hardly you see our graduates falling into trap for reporting because we have this. Whenever you do a story, we project it and everybody sees it before it comes out. So and that shows you the loopholes. Where you failed to attribute well, we tell you to attribute. Where you failed to apply what's supposed to be, we tell you, and through that feedback you learn to do better next time. So but how to ensure this? Fact Check Gambia, it's an organ of it has been registered, though it's within Majak now, Majak's infrastructure, but we hope someday it will stand on its own like Majak is standing. So it is an institution already in place, it is registered, it has its board, and then we hope soon that it stands alone and continues this like Majak is training somehow independent from GPU. Yes. So that is one way we are. And then this is not the first project, fact check project. We hope to have more of this. And someday we hope to have more of this, and then many more, which you and Balde will be part of it.
All right, it's important for us to know the workflow. I mean, tell us the workflow and the process that you take, fact checking.
So we call that stages, stages of fact check. So the first one we call it claim and sourcing. So you have claiming and sourcing. So you have to claim identification and sourcing. So there has to be a claim, a statement made by somebody that you have to identify that first. So when you identify, what follows is researching. You may suspect that it's false, but at that moment you don't know. But you have to do research. Yes, for instance, like I said, the claim I just made there, that Julia and I belong to the same school of thought. So if anybody, that's a statement. This is no joke, and this is no prediction, and this is no satire, or it's not an opinion. But this is school of thought has to do with record. So if anybody who wants to find out will have to go, which school is Mustafa's school, or where have I gone to school, and Julia. Then they will go to Majak admin and check the records and see whether we are in the same class. So that is going to verify that the statement made by Mustafa that he or Julia and him are of the same school of thought is true. So that is one. Researching will establish, but you have to do research by going to Majak or using other documents that will give you that proof. So from researching, then we come to writing. That's the writing. So then you got your facts, and then you write it down. And the final phase, we call it, that is publishing and correction. Yes.
So how long does it take to complete a particular fact-checking process?
I think it depends on the complexity of the claim. The ones I did were not that, just a few hours. So these are just basic claims by particular claim that a ministry, I saw a claim online that a particular ministry in the Gambia is recruiting. So by virtue of my experience or my familiarity with the names of ministries in the Gambia, that ministry doesn't exist. So when I look at it, and it was driving a lot of traffic. So that is first point. And then normally, if you look at the Gambia government, the structure of calling, opening job calls, there are a few criteria, they would say. But those ones are not there. So it depends on one experience and the veracity of the claim or the nature of the claim, and also information at your disposal. This is where most fact checkers get challenged. Information at your disposal. I want to get somebody say QTV has 100 staff, and I want to verify. So there may be a challenge for me. So that might slow, or that might delay or prolong or protract the duration of my fact check. But I may not be able to tell what specific duration it takes.
So do we have a database, or do we have tools that we use to do some of these things?
Yes, I've mentioned that you have tools. There are tools that you use for image like picture. There are tools that you use for video, and there are tools that you can use to verify audio and others.
So what are those tools going to tell you? They'll tell you this image is fake.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell you it's fake, but they give you the history of the image. Yes, for instance, recently we have one of the famous images we just checked at the training is an image of Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma likes dancing, the former president of South Africa. An image of him showed him dancing in a way with an opposite sex in a way that doesn't look appealing. When we did that, we tracked that, and we realized that, okay, Jacob actually danced, but the image was doctored. He was dancing with a court diplomat with much space in between, but they cropped an image of a lady in a nightclub and they fused it to him.
Wow.
So when that image was uploaded on the tool referred us to the original image of Jacob dancing. So you realize, and it shows you the image of that individual attached to Jacob. So you realize that these are two different images used or brought together thanks to technology. Yes.
So how can we check our fact checkers? I mean, how are we going to make sure these people are definitely checked to check us?
I leave that to you. Check us.
Absolutely.
Yes, I leave that to you. Check us. Yes. So if for instance,
are they trained well?
They are trained. So it's this is an art. The more you do, the better you become at it. When Julia and I were at the foundation, if we should show you the news articles that we have
Julia
written.
is part of the fact checkers.
Sorry, the certificate. No, when we are the certificate. If we should show you our scripts. We will not want it to be shown anymore. Yes. But now we can sit here comfortable and tell you criteria in putting up a news story. So that has to do with you doing much practice. But of course, if we make an error, you can bring it to our attention, and we will gladly
Thank you.
It, yes.
Thank you, Mustafa, for coming on the program. We just alerted that our time is up. Unfortunately, we have a lot of questions to ask you, but we have to draw the curtain here.
Back to the wall.
Yes, but we hope to engage you more in the future.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. I made an apology. Let me just apologize to my wife. I have to say morning to you and the kids before we go.
I like that.
Oh, you have to.
I like that.
Yes. So that is what it is. So, madam, we are saying good morning. How are you? Yes. All right. So, viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, we'll engage the Minister for Information, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. We'll be back.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy QPower, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Kalpe. We innovate, others follow.
Oryx Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Suru. Go. Ebe dawa full network suuta tili. QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata. QCell. Most.
We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde, and with Julden Jai on this platform. We're saying a big thanks to Mustafa Sise of Majak for coming and taking us through the fact-checking initiative sponsored by UNICEF and ruled by Majak. Now we have the Minister for Information in the studio, Dr. Ismaila Sise.
I think we will continue from where Mustafa stops.
Yes.
That is the issue of fact-checking, combating misinformation and disinformation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That would be very important.
Right.
Yes. So, Dr. Sise, it's good to have you on the platform.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Again. Again and again. I've watched you on several platforms. You crisscrossing all the media houses in this country.
Yes, we have to counter misinformation and disinformation. So in our drive to do that,
okay,
we have to be very busy.
Thank you. Yeah. So let's start with we have seen this Saturday the university students graduated in large numbers in different fields. So what is the Gambia government doing to create more jobs for these people? Because at the end of the time, if you are a university graduate and you hang at home without working, and most of the people are relying on the government to create jobs for them. So what are we doing to create jobs?
Well, I think the first thing is that we need to emphasize that you cannot rely on government to give you direct employment, because government cannot clearly employ everyone.
But we create the environment.
But the government has done that very well. We've created the enabling environment so that the private sector thrives. The private sector is the largest employer. So we've created an environment where now we've seen more businesses coming into the Gambia. We have attracted more FDI into the Gambia. More companies are opening. The service sector is booming. Tourism is booming. The agricultural sector is also going upward. So I think all these are opportunities for young people to gain employment. Yes, 1228 students were graduated at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels, but not all of them coming from undergraduate go on to direct employment. Some of them go on to do their postgraduate studies, but those also from masters also going to do their PhDs. Remember also quite a chunk of these are already employed, because I was at the university, I was lecturing for almost 14 years. So I know that some of our students are already in the labor market already. They're already employed. They were just pursuing a degree on the side line of their work. So if you look at the statistics, I don't have the empirical data, but if you look at the statistics of these 1228, how many of these are going straight into the job market? How many of these are going to pursue a higher degree? How many of these are already employed? You might end up having a very little that the government needs to provide employment for. Yes, we need to, and the government is very aware of this. That is why we've changed a policy in terms of higher education by ensuring that we've now focused on TVET training. Because the global environment is telling us that the world is moving very quickly, and that is why there was a need for synergy between government, academia, and industry to be able to anticipate what the labor market will need in 5-10 years' time. Because you could do development studies or political science or sociology as a degree, then you realize that the world is catching up. People are moving towards AI, towards drones, towards technology. But still, we're aware of this. That is why we are redesigning the curriculum to ensure that we produce graduates that are fit for the job market, but also can be employable.
Okay, in that instant, I think, for instance, during this last convocation ceremony of the University of the Gambia, a lot of people are having questions. That is, it's one thing to have graduates. It's one thing to have a lot of people with degrees, but it's another for these degrees or graduates to be fit to the job market. And that is what we are seeing, the challenge at the University of the Gambia in terms of ensuring that they have the practical tools, they have what it really takes to actually for those that are graduating there to venture into the labor market. But that is the challenge. How are you ensuring that there is that quality? Because I think over the years, we've been focusing a lot on the quantity rather than the quality education. You see a lot of degree holders in the Gambia here, but they are not fit in the job market.
Well, that's a matter of opinion. They're not fit in the job market. I think at the university, people study different disciplines. and different programs. There are those who are in medicine. They fit in the job market because currently the health sector needs to absorb quite a lot of those people. There are those who are in STEM, science, physics, and chemistry. They are needed. There are teachers as well. There are people who study agricultural science. They have to. So obviously, what I know is that recently the university has embarked on some very innovative reforms, getting empirical evidence, knowing how the market looks like, but also anticipating how it will look like, how it will evolve over time. We've really tailored programs to ensure that the people we train are fit and ready for the job market.
All right, so let's move on. Doctor, I would definitely like you have something for Doctor.
Yes, because I did mention that I would like this conversation to start with the issue of misinformation and disinformation. I know that earlier this year, the government of the Gambia launched a nationwide initiative towards ensuring that they combat misinformation and disinformation. How far are you with that?
Well, exactly. It was sponsored by WAVE. We felt that currently we need to have concerted efforts to counter misinformation and disinformation. It's a global phenomenon. It's not only global phenomenon, it is also a perennial phenomenon. It has been going around for ages. What has changed though is technology. How now it moves very quickly. Before, when news breaks out in one part of the world, it can take months, sometimes years, before it reaches the other part of the world.
Exactly.
But now within seconds, it is transmitted. It reaches all over the world. So the manner in which it moves, the tempo in which it moves, makes it more deadly, more destructive. That is why we felt that currently we need to fight. First, we had two ideas. One is to raise awareness about it, because people need to identify what is disinformation and what is misinformation. What news should be taken seriously and what news can be considered to be disinformation or misinformation. Two is how to counter it. So if you don't identify it, you cannot counter it. That is why we thought it wise to go around the country and sensitize the people so they can be able to identify these two scourges. But the most important also is to train journalists, because they're in the business of disseminating news, to remind them of their responsibilities. But also, we are also working on a few documents. These are non-legislative documents like Code of Ethics for journalists to be able to abide by these codes of ethics. Non-legislative.
Like the government developing a code of ethics for journalists?
No. It's an inclusive process whereby we'll even get GPU and journalists to be part of this. So it's about the whole ecosystem. It's not like government imposing. We have not started this yet. These are ideas we have. How do we bring in GPU, journalists, the media, civil society to come together and develop codes of ethics for journalists?
We already have codes of ethics. That is the Jalo Charter for journalism. So we already have that in place.
No, but not specifically designed to counter disinformation and misinformation. I think that needs to be very clear. And I'm happy that Majak has just launched an initiative to help us in that drive. And we assure them of the ministry's utmost support.
So in that case, how about the government officials and those in the civil service? How is this initiative going to also ensure that they correct them? Because we are also seeing a lot of misinformation and disinformation coming.
From where?
From both sides, even the government.
No, I'm not aware of any misinformation.
We are seeing that. It's both sides of the coin.
Government cannot embark on intentional disinformation or misinformation. Because government has the information. That is why we brought the ATI law, the Access to Information Law, where now every citizen has a right to demand from an information holder information which is not within the framework of the exemptions, for example, that has to do with security, paid information, and so on and so forth. Our role as a government is to promote what they call proactive disclosure. So the public has access to information because our aim is to promote transparency and accountability within government. That is why I brought all these laws, the ATI law, and some of the initiatives that we took in terms of the Mansakunda program, the frequent press conferences, also the like me coming to the radios, all geared towards promoting proactive disclosure so that we don't always have to be on the defending side. We always give information to the public because we believe that the access to information is a fundamental human right, and it is also guaranteed by the Gambian Constitution. So what is important is that we need to be ensuring that this right is given to Gambians.
So, Doctor, what is the Gambia government doing in fighting corruption? You know, and how far have we gone when it comes to alleged corruption cases?
I think everybody can be a witness that what this government, under the leadership of His Excellency President Armbor, has done to fight corruption, no other government has done in the history of this country. And I can name you a few initiatives. The most prominent one is passing of an anti-corruption law. For the first time ever in this country, we have what they call the Anti-Corruption Act, and we are currently setting up the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Secretariat to help in that drive. Unprecedented. The second thing is that we have expanded and strengthened the powers of the National Audit Office. You remember under Yahya Jammeh, nobody even knew it existed, but it never came out with audit reports. But now every day we have about audit reports. Today, this morning, you would look at the Fourier newspaper, it's about Banjul City Council and some of the financial malpractices that are taking place in that council. National Audit Office now has the powers and the latitude to go to any MDA and audit them. And these reports are currently, we have over 9 cases at the IGP for investigation to be further sent to the AG chambers for possible prosecution. It means the government is serious in fighting corruption. Now, look at the...
Can you elaborate on some of these cases?
Well, for example, one of them, I can't go into the specifics. I can't remember. I don't want to say something that I'm not, but I know that there are 9 cases that were forwarded, because how it works is the audit office does the auditing. And if they suspect that there are cases of fraud and malpractices, they now forward it to the competent body, which is the police, to do the investigations. They investigate and realize, yes, okay, there is a case here to be taken to the AG, another competent body for prosecution. They take it to the AG's chambers. That is going on. Now, but what is quite important is that our drive towards digitization. Recently, the government of the Gambia signed an MOU with Ajib Bank to make sure all government services now appear to the bank. This is to make government processes more auditable, more structured, and more efficient, and more transparent, so that we move towards a cashless system in the public service. So is that... So apart from the... So we are doing all this. Also, we've come up with new public-private partnership laws, which ensures transparency in when government goes to the public-private partnership initiative. But also, we have come up with new procurement laws as well. The new Procurement Act was amended to ensure that procurement systems are robust in a manner in which now nobody can flout public procurement rules and that public money is used wisely. So all these initiatives, but also the PAC is also working, and now they can call on any MDA to go and answer questions. So this is the height of transparency. All these are geared towards ensuring that we fight corruption in the system.
All right, so let's talk about, on a video on Coffee Time, I have watched it, the increment of Gambian passport fee from 3,060 to 5,100 dollars. Is that not an exorbitant price, Doctor?
Well, it depends on...
Why should we increase our passport to that? Is there a reason?
Let me give you context to this. In 2014, the Jammeh government signed a contract with AfriCard to provide biometric passport services for the Gambia. And in this contract, there were clauses which talked about the passport prices. Specifically, it was said that in 2024, the price was going to be $4,060. In 2025, $5,100. This is in the contract. This is not the making of the Gambia government. It's a contract signed by the previous government. Now, in 2024, the Gambia government really deliberately refused to increase the price in accordance with the contract, because we thought at that time, was just after COVID, it would really be too hard on citizens. That is why we subsidized the $1,000 balance as a government. But now we could not subsidize this any longer, and this is in line with the contract. So it's not like we just
contract with who?
AfriCard. It's a contract with Africa to provide biometric passport services. So this is a contract that was signed before. It's a 15-year BOT, that is Bill Operate Transfer contract, and it ends in 2029. And remember, this is the last increment in line with the contract. It will not be increased again until 2029. So we have no choice. This is a contractual obligation that every government must be able to fulfill and must fulfill as well if you don't want to be taken to the courts, which will be even more expensive for us. So it's not like it's a deliberate attempt to increase passport prices, but we are just acting in line with what is obtained in a contract which is signed by the Gambia government. And in fact, I think we should praise the Gambia government for the initiative it took to ensure that in 2014 there was no increment, because we subsidized it. But in 2025 the increment has to come into effect, because we can no longer subsidize the cost of passport. But the good news is that even though the price will go up, services will expand. We will deploy enrollment services across the country, so that you don't have to come to Banjul again to apply for a passport. You can be in Basse and apply for a passport. You can be in Mansakonko, in Soma to apply for a passport, in Kerawan, but also in CRR in Makati, you can apply for a passport. Not only that, it is also going to be expanding enrollment centers in the diaspora in UK, in Italy, in Spain, and the US. Now, in these enrollment centers in the diaspora, there'll be mobile sections that will also move around the continent to be able to provide passports in Turkey, in Greece,
then
in Sweden, based on need.
Doctor, if we can provide passport to the diaspora, then there should be at least a little hope there will be diaspora voting one day.
Well, you are comparing apples and oranges. The competent body...
They are all fruits.
No, but the competent body, the law surrounding issuance of passports and voter registration, and the bodies doing it are different. So you cannot compare them. There are laws clearly that talks about the registration, voting, and so on and so forth. So you cannot compare them, to be honest.
All right. So, okay, today on the Standards newspaper, the Immigration Director General also is talking about issuing ID cards to Gambians in Mauritania. Does it mean that now Mauritania, we can provide ID cards to Gambians living in Mauritania?
Actually, what happened is that I think it's important we give context. There was a video circulating some time ago, not long ago, in fact. Allegedly, Mauritanian security officials manhandling Gambians, in fact beating them up and being very violent against Gambians. Now, as a government that is empathetic to Gambians and that takes the welfare of every Gambian very seriously, the President, His Excellency, dispatched a special envoy to Nouakchott to go and talk to the Mauritanian authorities about the welfare of Gambians in that country. Just like how we protect and preserve the welfare of Mauritanians in this country, we would like that to be reciprocated. But before that, the Ambassador Faye did a very good job by engaging the Mauritanian authorities and raising this issue and expressing displeasure and concern of the Gambian government. But the special envoy, His Excellency, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, went to meet the Mauritanian authorities where we are giving guarantees that now Gambians will be protected. But for them to be protected, they must be able to identify who is a Gambian. And because of that, and they could not come to identify themselves here to be given ID cards, the President also dispatched a mission, an 8-man mission to Mauritania to go and support and give consular service to these Gambians. One of those consular services is to support their welfare and so on and so, but also to provide them with identity documents so that they can be able to show to the Mauritanian authorities that I'm a Gambian and they can be given special protection. Otherwise, they wouldn't know who is Gambian, who's not Gambian. And what they do is they indiscriminately, deal with any person who looks black and African. And for us to be able to help our brothers and sisters in Mauritania to identify themselves to the Mauritanian authorities so they can be given special protection, they need ID cards, but they cannot come. So I think it was very magnanimous of the President and very visionary to send a team to Mauritania to support and give consular services to these people. And I can assure you that the Gambian community in Mauritania are very appreciative of this move.
True. Yeah, so, Doctor, cost of living in this country is really crazy now. So what is the Gambia government doing?
Well, cost of living all over the world is crazy. Remember, we are from two issues or two incidents happened that the last time they happened was after the First World War. That is a pandemic and a war. Obviously, we all know what happened after that, the Great Depression in the 1930s. We are not hoping for that to happen, but with the trade war going, we might be heading towards that. But what is important is that Gambia government is aware of the cost of living, and we've taken measures to cushion the impact on hardworking Gambians. But the most thing that needs to be clear is that we don't manufacture most of the things that we consume in this country. They are imported. Now, if you import goods from outside, and inflation takes place outside on those goods, you buy them with the inflation. What we can do as a government, we cannot control the price of a bag of a ton of rice in India or Vietnam. We cannot control. What we can do as a government is to come up with measures to mitigate its impact on hardworking Gambians. What we've done is that we made rice duty-free. You don't pay duty for rice. And that's a subsidy. If people are paying duty for the rice at the ports, the price of rice, bag of rice will not be 2,100 or 200. It will be 4,000 because it's duty-free. What we have also done is so to put extra money in Gambians' pockets is we've subsidized petrol as well. Today, within the sub-region here, Senegal, Mali, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Conakry, Gambia has the cheapest fuel per liter on the pump. $80, $80-something. If we didn't subsidize it, it will be over $100. It means that we are saving Gambians who buy fuel $20 plus per liter. on the pump, that money, imagine how many liters do you buy? And that would have even increased the price of commodities, because remember, the logistics involved to move these commodities in and around the country, you use fuel. We didn't only do that, we also subsidized in the billions of dollars the per kilowatt electricity that people consume, all to support Gambians. But quite most important is that we've increased salaries by on average 30% across the board, so that those who are earning, particularly at the grade 1, grade 2 levels, $5,000, $6,000, $4,000 now earning up to $7,000, $8,000. All these jobs towards supporting Gambians and making sure they have more money in their wallet. So we've taken measures to really mitigate the impact. What we cannot do is to control the price. It's a free market, it's a liberal market. If the price of oil, the price of sugar, the price of rice goes up in the world market, the price of transporting them, the logistics, the freight goes up in the world market, we have no control over that. We have control of what we can do as a government, the policies we can be able to initiate to lessen the impact. And what we are doing now going forward is to ensure that now we focus on local production. That is why today we are supporting business and investment that are coming to the country to create local factories, so they can be able to, so we are able to also produce a lot. We are also producing a lot of rice. Recently, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we only were able to produce, I can't remember how much, but now we are producing almost 21-22% of our rice intake. The aim is with support to Jar Oil, support to Maruo Farms, and other initiatives. We hope that by 2027, 2028, we should be able to have 100% local production of rice in this country.
Also.
Thank you.
But the issue of Gambia being the lowest in terms of fuel, I think that data it's not accurate, because currently in Africa we have Nigeria. But
if I said immediate sub-region, I'm not talking about Africa. Nigeria is an oil producing country. You cannot use that as a benchmark.
But in West Africa, let's now talk about West Africa.
Immediate sub-region,
which is
Senegal, which is Guinea-Conakry, which is Guinea-Bissau, which is Mali, which is Sierra Leone.
Nigeria is in West Africa.
No, but you cannot. Nigeria is an oil-producing country. You cannot compare it to a country that import 100% of their oil needs. So you cannot compare it to Nigeria. If Gambia was producing oil, it was a different case. Nigeria produces oil, and now they have a refinery. So it's a different ball game. So you don't count Nigeria in this. There's always an exception to every rule.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yes.
So in terms of the TRRC, just finally, the TRRC recommendations, we know that currently the government implemented so far 19 so far that I know of.
No.
Okay, how many are implemented?
I know there are 260 something recommendations.
Yes.
I think as we speak, 90 something are ongoing. I think 50 something is implemented.
Fully?
If I can remember, yes.
Like fully implemented?
Yes. If I can remember, don't take my word for it. But that's what I can remember, because I remember when we had the Mansakuna and invited the Ministry of Justice, these are the figures I was given. But it was a long time ago, so I can't really, but I know that it's not 19. We've gone way beyond 19. But remember also, TRRC recommendations, in fact, transitional justice, for that matter, is a process. The most important thing is that we've initiated and started quite a chunk of them, and this will take time. Recently, we've seen the president inaugurated what he called the repatriation, reparations commission. This is one of the TRRC recommendations. They're going to create what they call the reparations fund. They'll create what they call the victims database to know all the victims where they are, so that this reparations fund will be partly sponsored by government to make sure that victims have their right reparations. These are all geared towards the no country, the countries that have done transitional justice and our TRRC-like recommendations, like South Africa after apartheid, like Liberia after the civil war, like Ghana after the fall of the military junta, like Rwanda after the genocide. Obviously, all these countries had TRRC-like initiatives and recommendations. Some of them are still being implemented 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line. So you don't expect for the Gambia to implement all TRRC 260 recommendations within 3-4 years. This has cost implications, it has logistical implications, it has capacity implications. What we can pride ourselves as a government is that we've started or completed over 60% of the recommendations. Thank you
very much, Honorable Minister, for passing by and talking to us on QTV this morning. And we hope and pray things will change for the better.
Yeah.
We can see how I mean, it's going, but a bit slow. I mean,
a bit slow. Listen, let me tell you something. We've inherited a lot of the challenges. See, development policy is long-term. In energy is long-term. in education is long term, in healthcare is long term, in infrastructure is long term. What I can assure you is that the gains we have made as a government within the short period, the explosive nature of our development initiatives is unmatched in the African continent. Yes, but then if you have an energy sector where there has not been any significant investment in energy infrastructure for 50 years, you cannot expect government to solve that in 5 years. If there is education sector where there has not been any significant investment in over 60 years, you cannot expect people to solve it in 5 years. What is important is that at least we're off to a good start. We've seen movements in development.
By the way, if you are with His Excellency President Adama Barrow, tell him I've seen the roads that he's connecting around the Birkama forest going to Jambanjeli and Jabag. So I am very happy and very impressed.
And the statistics tells us that in between the colonial masters and the PPP government and the APRC government, they were able to together build over almost 800 kilometers of roads. President Barrow alone within 7-8 years has built over 1,000 kilometers of roads, spanning from, roads that are very critical roads, like the Hakalang Road, like the Sankandi Tankula Road in Kiang West, like the Badel Harding Highway here, like these are roads that are very critical, that connects communities and societies, connects people, promotes trade and investment, promotes tourism. Roads, you can talk about anything, and road is the basis and foundation of every development. And let me tell you just finally, quickly, when you bring water to communities, only those who can afford it will get it. When you bring electricity, the same, but roads, everybody uses it. Nobody pays to use it. It's free. You pay for your water bills, you pay for electricity bills, you pay for healthcare, you pay for education. The only thing you don't pay for that everybody uses for free.
It's road.
It's roads.
Free.
And no society will develop without developing your road.
Thank you, Dr. Cisse, for coming, and very interesting engagement here. And we hope to engage you more in the future. Keep giving us information. Thank you. Yeah, so viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, then we head to the last segment. We'll be back.
Ça va?
Oryx, with you all the way.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy QPower, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Kalpe. We innovate, others follow.
Oryx Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Soro. Go. Ebe dawa full network suda tili. QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata. QCell. Most reliable network dumala keta wati. QCell. Wo quality man nyon soto jam. Ona manke QCell. Hanibe wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network ko se taria. QCell. Suñu boss. Yo finjeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Suñu boss. Itela follow adi doron nesa keno. Suñu boss. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele QCell. Suñu boss. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Suñu boss. Itela molti milka kukutol nati Gambia QCell meta lori la kiliano yele imanyina amanda wala itele ka quality dila dadi ma itele silo wala wodol mume be kenoma QCell suñu boss QCell, Sunny Bus, QCell, Sunny Bus, QCell, Sunny Bus. Connect solo be bambandi QCell, Sunny Bus, QCell most innovative QCell, Sunny Bus.
Thank you. We are back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Obalde and I'm with Julden Jai. Now let's head to the last segment of this program, World Veterinary Day 2025. And we have Dr. Keba Dafe from the Gambia College, a lecturer.
No, President.
Gambia
okay. Veterinary Medical.
Okay, all right. They gave me lecturer Gambia College.
No,
then that must be
in my capacity.
That must be a mistake. Okay, you are here as the president
of the Gambia Veterinary Medical Association.
Very good. Gambia Veterinary Medical Association. Yeah. All right, we have Musa Jalo from the Horse and Donkey Trust. Yeah. So it's good to have you here, Mr.
Thank
President. You. And you know, when I saw Veterinary Day, I was like, this is a very important topic to discuss. You know, it's important for us to go through this. Why is this day significant?
It is very significant as a day set aside globally by the World Veterinary Association to create awareness about the veterinary profession, the multiple roles veterinarian plays in the development of society in general, as well as making sure that young people know about the veterinary profession to inspire them. That is critical for a country like the Gambia, which is suffering from acute shortage of veterinarian. Today in the Gambia, there are only 3 veterinary doctors serving the government of the Gambia in active service at the Department of Livestock Services.
3?
3 only.
The whole country?
In the whole of the Gambia. One is the Director General of Department of Livestock, the other is Deputy Director General, and a young vet who just joined them not that long ago. In the regions in the country, there is no veterinarian anywhere in the country, in the regions. That is critical.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the reason? Is it that people are not interested in that field?
There is no veterinary studies at the University of the Gambia. Since the inception of UTG to date, they have not started offering a course in veterinary medicine.
Okay, we don't have it.
No, there is no course in veterinary medicine. And government also is not sending people to universities abroad to study veterinary medicine. So we in the veterinary profession, I mean the Gambia Veterinary Medical Association would want to use the World Veterinary Day 2025 to call on the government of the Gambia, the University of the Gambia, to reflect on establishing a veterinary school in the Gambia so that the critical shortage will be addressed. This is the most sustainable way to address the shortage. It's about time that we have a school of veterinary medicine. The Gambia is blessed with world-class veterinarians. The veterinary profession in the country has a proud history dating back to the early 1930s. The first veterinarian in West Africa is a Gambian. He was the first president of the Republic of the Gambia, Dr. Sadauda Kairaba Jawara. And he led the veterinary services in the country, and we were able to eradicate rinderpest. That time, the most important transboundary animal disease in the African continent. The Gambia actually had its last case of rinderpest in 1965, when rinderpest was ravaging all over West Africa. And there is a similar disease called CBPP, contagious bovine pleuropneumonia. Our last case that time was in 1971. So really, veterinarians in the country, in the past and present, have played enormous role. But currently, the situation is critical. When I graduated, there were more than 15 veterinarians working for the veterinary department. That was some years ago. Many years ago. Now we are going like...
What happened?
It's like we're going back.
Yeah, because people are not being trained. And there is no veterinary school at the University of the Gambia. So one thing we would call for is to have a veterinary school. There is no better way to commemorate World Veterinary Day in the Gambia than calling attention to this critical gap that needs to be addressed. Veterinarians are not only in animal health. We are also in research. If you look at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, MRC, some of the prominent researchers, Professor Asanjay is a doctor of veterinary medicine. Dr. Sehjaju also is a veterinarian. And in other places, myself, I was the Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority of the Gambia, the first DG. I am a veterinarian. So veterinarians are not only in animal health, but also in other key areas. Today in the world, there is a resurgence of diseases. We call them newly emerging diseases. Some of these diseases, they need a collective approach. It cannot be handled by one profession. Example is avian flu, commonly known as bird flu.
It's in the Gambia?
Yeah, there was an outbreak of avian flu in the Gambia in 2023.
I think I heard about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember.
That disease needs a collective work, one health approach. In that, veterinarians need to be in the country and to be active in all these areas. When people say veterinarian, some think of only animal health, but really veterinary science is beyond.
So let's engage Musa.
So the theme for this year's World Veterinary Day is Animal Health Takes a Team. And can you emphasize on that theme for this year?
Well, actually, what I would really like to talk about is what we do at the Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust. Because Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust is a charity organization, and that helps with animals, and we have a hospital that the Gambia College and the Gambia University have been using for training and learning practical skills. So in the past few years, we have students from the University of Liverpool and Glasgow who have been coming out to train with us. So we would really like for the Gambia to have a vet school where our students can use our facilities for learning and practical dealing with animals here.
So still coming back to my question, on this year's theme, Animal Health Takes a Team. What are you doing at your own level at the Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust to ensure that, you know, the issue of animal health is well taken care of, and advocacy as well, creating awareness for people to know the importance of this?
Well, one thing we do is that, because if you look around, Gambia is one of the countries that have the highest number of stray dogs, and Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust do a free rabies campaign where we vaccinate dogs against rabies, which is a killer disease. And we know all we live with dogs, and then if a dog happens to get rabies and accidentally they bite someone, it is really bad because the person can die. And the other thing we do, again, because of the number of stray dogs are really high, we try to control by neutering and castrating the males and neutering the females dogs, and then educating the farmers, because we all know Gambia is one of the poorest country, and we are many people depend on agriculture, either directly or indirectly. And horses and donkeys play a vital role into our social economic, and where a lot of households are fed by horses or donkeys. Some school fees are paid from horses or donkeys, because we all know they use them for farming, transporting goods, and all kind of stuff. And one thing, we let them know that the less you walk your animal, the longer they live, and the less you overload them, the longer they will live without having any issues. So it's basically more of sensitizing them how to be able to look after their animals, and we always provide veterinary treatment if they ever needed help.
So,
that answers your question.
In terms of the vaccines, do we have any vaccines currently in country to actually treat animals? For instance, if there is any disease or if there is any outbreak of disease in the country, do we have all the vaccines that are necessary? Yeah,
there are some vaccines available. The Department of Livestock Services has been conducting vaccination campaigns against major diseases like pest de petit ruminant, which is the most common disease in sheep and goats in the Gambia. They do also do vaccination against Newcastle disease. And also for commercial poultry farmers, Newcastle disease is readily available. They can buy it from the veterinary pharmacists, because you cannot do poultry production without really taking care of that area. So rabies vaccination also at times it's been organized by Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust with partners. So yes, vaccines at times are available. Not always, but at least some vaccines are available. Yeah.
And sometimes you hear, most times when an animal is sick, all that people think of is let's slaughter it and eat it before it dies. I mean, the effect of that?
That could be dangerous. There are some diseases, like, for example, anthrax. It's a deadly disease. It is a zoonotic disease as well. And animals don't show any premonitory clinical signs of sickness. They just fall sick of anthrax and die within a short time. So at times, if anybody attempts to kill those animals, use it for meat, there would be a catastrophe. We don't pray for that. So it is a very dangerous thing that we should avoid.
So doctor, you are only 3 veterinary doctors here.
I mean, with the government of the Gambia, there are only 3. I'm not working for the government of the Gambia.
Okay, you are not working for the government
of the Gambia.
Okay,
no.
Okay. There are only 3 with the government of the Gambia.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, we cannot live without veterinary doctors.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
So we are taking this lightly, but this is a very serious case.
According to the World Organization for Animal Health, the minimum Gambia government needs in terms of veterinarians is 25 to work at the DLS, the Department of Livestock Services. Only at that department they need 25 and others are needed at other sectors as well, in the many different sectors. So 25 veterinarians, and we have 3.
So what, I mean, doctor, is there any engagement going on? Have you engaged the government? Have you engaged the authorities on that?
The University of the Gambia has been working on a curriculum for a veterinary school in Gambia, and I'm one of the people who have been working on that curriculum. Glad to say that the curriculum has been validated 2 years ago, and we are waiting indefinitely for this course to be mounted. So I don't understand why after 2 years of validation is still not mounted when the situation is critical. The Gambia is maybe having more doctors in veterinary medicine than only one country in the whole of West Africa. We are only better than one country. It's not good to name any country, but there is only one country that have less veterinary doctors than the Gambia. Only one country.
A population maybe might be bigger than the Gambia. That's
that is critical. It's really something that we need to address urgently. UTG has been around since 1999. We still don't have a school of veterinary medicine. In the Gambia, the highest level you can reach in veterinary science is diploma at the Gambia College. That's what he completed. And they have an association called Future Vets Association. These are people with their diplomas and certificates waiting. They are waiting. They've been waiting for 2 years. And some of them now are going to do general agriculture and other fields because they think that they are waiting for something that will never happen.
Wow, so that's a sad one. That's a sad one. Thank you very much, doctor, for coming. Thank you very much, Musa.
Thank you.
You know, for your time, and we hope to engage you more in the future.
Thank you very much.
You know, on this program. So we need to keep telling them. We need to keep drumming in their ears. I mean, so that this can happen. Sometimes, you know, when we don't talk, they will all allow it to slide. And we need this.
I'm grateful for this opportunity to really come and talk about this matter.
Yes, we are all in this together, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Julia?
This is all we have for you in this edition of QTV this morning, until we come your way again for another.
All right, enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye for now.
Bye.